So as you all can tell by the title of this video, I'm doing a Q&A. I post on my Instagram story to send me questions so that I could answer them and also shout you guys out for those that did send questions. So I'm gonna answer a few questions just so the video isn't super long. So let's go ahead and just get started. So the first question is by Jesus, and the question says, is RA always a progressive illness, or can we keep it under control throughout our life? So RA is considered a progressive illness. However, you can slow down the disease progression by either taking medications or by changing your diet or by exercising, basically doing what will keep the inflammation in your body down, because it's the inflammation in our joints that actually causes the destruction of our joints. So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and minimizing the amount of flare-ups that you have, then the progression of the disease will be so greatly minimized versus if you don't do what you should do in order to keep the inflammation down. This one's not a question, but it's from my best friend, Hailey Lawless. And the question, well, the statement says, not a question, I just love you and I'm so proud of you and how strong you are. And I know it's not a question and I'm doing Q&A, but I honestly wanted to say it because I'm so thankful for Hailey. She has been my best friend since we've been in high school, and I honestly cannot stress enough how important it is to have individuals like Hailey in your life. I know that those individuals that just understand and just support and love on you, they're so hard to come by, but I promise once you come by one of those individuals, then they honestly make the journey of you having an autoimmune illness so much easier. So I just want to say thank you, Hailey. I love you and I'm so thankful for you. This next question is by Annabelle, and the question says, what do you wish you knew when you were first diagnosed? And I would honestly have to say, I wish that I knew how serious RA was. When I was first diagnosed, I was just given a prescription. I thought that, oh, I just have to take this medication, then I'll be fine. I honestly had no idea what all of RA was really about. I didn't know how much it would affect me mentally, emotionally. So I guess I just wish that I was just told the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. I know that I was a child when I was diagnosed, so maybe my rheumatologist didn't want to freak me and my parents out. However, I guess I just wish that I would have rather known so that I could have just internalized all the information versus finding out different things as I get older. For example, the video I made about costochondritis, and I was freaking out the first time I experienced it. That's just one of the examples of something that I wish that I knew when I was first diagnosed, so that whenever I run into these obstacles, I'm not so freaked out and I'm more prepared for them. So this next question is by my old roommate. Her name is Ariana. I was roommates with her my senior year at Alabama, and she asked, what is the hardest thing for you to communicate to others about RA? And Ari, this is a loaded question for sure, because there's so much about RA that is so hard to communicate to others. I honestly would have to, if I had to pick one, I think I would say the hardest thing to communicate, I don't know, okay, I'm gonna pick two. One of them would have to be fatigue. I think when I tell someone that I'm tired, then they're just like, oh, me too. And it's really hard to describe my tired being different than someone who doesn't have an autoimmune illness versus they're tired. And I guess just in the terms of when people make a big deal when I tell them that I sleep for 9 to 10 hours every night and sometimes I still feel tired, then they always want to tell me, oh, it's because you slept too long, or they're just surprised like, oh my gosh, you sleep so much. So I would say talking about fatigue is the hardest. I don't like talking about fatigue with people, so that's very hard to communicate. And I honestly would also have to say another hard thing to communicate is that one day I can do something doesn't mean the next day I can also do that one thing. Or even 1 minute I can do something and all of a sudden I experience a flare up and I can't do it the next minute. So that's kind of hard just because no one can actually see when your body flares up. And I can't predict when it's gonna happen. So I always battle with, sometimes I will flare up at school and I'll just hide it because 2 seconds ago, Randy was fine. And so I don't want to be perceived as lying or just making excuses. And I know I should not worry about what other people think. I know. It's hard to communicate it because not everybody in this world understands how unpredictable RA really is. The next question is by Nourish Soul Health, and the question says, how is chiropractic school going? So chiropractic school, it's oh goodness, it's going great. I will say that. I'll start with that. It is great. I love it. I'm so happy I chose to go to chiropractic school. I love the profession. I love what I'm studying. And I will admit, though, that it is tough. Tri-3 has been tough. It's just been tough in the sense of there's so much work going on. There's so much homework and quizzes and tests and everything in between. And right now, the weather is changing, so it's colder. So I'm experiencing more flare-ups. I'm experiencing more fatigue. So that's kind of tough. But in terms of actual chiropractic school, I do just love everything about it. This trimester, we have started to learn adjusting, and it honestly has been harder than I imagined it to be. But I have enjoyed it and just trying to understand like the differences in how I can adjust since I'm smaller. Not many people know that I'm only 5'3". So just learning how to adjust for my body, as well as with having rheumatoid arthritis. My hands flare up very, very often since I'm using them so much. So just finding that right balance between practicing a lot versus not practicing too much because you don't want your hands to flare up. So in the grand scheme of things, chiropractic school is going great. Of course, it's just with a new trimester brings new challenges. So the final question I'll answer is by my friend Hailey. We grew up going to church together, and I honestly laughed when she first sent me her first message because it said, should my question be RA related? And I laughed so hard. I texted her and I told her, no, it doesn't have to be RA related. It could be anything you want to ask. So then she came back and she asked, is chiro school anything like college? What was the adjustment like? So I would definitely say, no, they are completely different. At Alabama, in terms of, let's just talk about academics first. At Alabama, I did study. I made sure I'd studied and was always prepared for tests or quizzes coming up. However, I didn't have to study as much. If I had a test on Friday, and if it was over 3 chapters, then I just counted back 3 days, and I would just study a chapter a day. In chiropractic school, you're studying every single day, because by the time a test comes up, if you haven't been studying, then that will be so much information to study at that one time. And also in chiropractic school, it's not unheard of for us to have 3, 4, 5 tests in 1 week. In undergrad, I probably barely ever had 2 tests in the same week. So that is it just goes to show how trying to study for 5 tests in 1 week is almost impossible if you're not studying around the clock. So that is definitely different. Of course, something else that's different is at chiropractic school, we don't have sports teams. Of course, at Alabama, we had sports teams. We had football, track, we had everything. So there was always an event that you could go to, and everyone was just so roll tide on campus. So everyone was so into all the sporting events. And so I missed that atmosphere at chiropractic school. That doesn't happen. Everyone is just like, oh, yeah, we're has-beens. We did sports back then, but we don't do them now. So that's definitely different. And also just like the personalities of people. In undergrad, everyone was just very wild, to say the least. And at chiropractic school, kind of once you start the program, you realize that you have to bring yourself to a different level professionally. You have to act differently. You have to walk and talk and just do everything differently, because you know that, okay, I'm actually studying to get a doctorate. I'm studying to be a doctor. So there's just a different type of energy that comes with both schools. I definitely loved my time in Alabama, and I love my time right now at chiropractic school. It just is totally different. In terms of the second question, what was the adjustment like? I honestly freaked out my first week of chiropractic school, because I really thought that the program was just going to be way, way, way too much that I could handle. And I thought that it was just going to be just so challenging. And it is very, very challenging. However, I learned that it was doable. So my biggest adjustment was just trying to get my feet under me and just realize, just tell myself that, okay, you did fine in your undergraduate years, so just keep that same Randy and do the same things. Because at first when you start a professional school, you think that, oh, I have to change everything that I used to do that only worked because I did it there. I can't do none of that here. And I quickly had to learn that, no, I just have to be consistent, because I tried changing things that I thought would have been better for me, and they end up being worse, and they set me back in some classes. So I would say that was just the adjustment of just understanding that, okay, I can do this. Take a deep breath and just do what you've been doing and just stay consistent. So guys, that honestly concludes the video and all the questions that I'm gonna go ahead and answer. As I love making these videos, so I'll probably make more in the future. And if you do like these videos, then let me know. And of course, in the future, if you see that I post a send me a question, then you can send me any type of question. It could be on any scale, and I'll definitely answer it. And of course, I'll continue to shout you guys out, because I appreciate every one of you interacting with me on Instagram and just giving me a reason to continue this YouTube channel. So of course, if you ever need anything, and if you ever want to message me and just talk about something, my DMs on Instagram are open. You can send me an email at rawarriorrandi@gmail.com, and I'll definitely respond. And honestly, I just hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Goodbye.